Once upon a time, in a small village nestled amidst rolling hills and lush greenery, there lived a young man named Siddhartha. Siddhartha was known for his kindness, compassion, and a deep sense of curiosity about the mysteries of life. He spent his days wandering through the serene landscapes, pondering the meaning of existence. One day, as Siddhartha sat beneath a Bodhi tree, he felt an overwhelming desire to seek a deeper understanding of the world and the suffering that seemed inherent in human life. He decided to embark on a journey to explore the teachings of various spiritual leaders and find the path to true enlightenment. His quest led him to wise sages, ascetic practices, and profound meditations. However, Siddhartha still found himself searching for answers. One day, exhausted and disillusioned, he sat by the banks of a peaceful river, reflecting on his journey so far. As he gazed into the flowing water, Siddhartha noticed a leaf gently floating downstream. Intrigued, he followed its journey with his eyes. The leaf encountered obstacles, swirling currents and rocky obstacles, yet it continued to navigate its way with grace and ease. Suddenly, a deep realization dawned upon Siddhartha. The journey of the leaf mirrored the human experience. Life, like the river, was filled with obstacles, challenges, and unexpected turns. However, just like the leaf, people could navigate these challenges with grace and inner peace. Inspired by this revelation, Siddhartha decided to embrace a new path, the middle way. He understood that extreme asceticism and indulgence both led to suffering. He resolved to find a balanced approach that would lead him to enlightenment. Siddhartha continued his journey, practicing moderation and mindfulness. He spent days in deep meditation, cultivating a profound understanding of the nature of suffering and the path to liberation. One day, as he meditated beneath the Bodhi tree once again, he attained enlightenment and became the Buddha, the awakened one. The Buddha, now filled with wisdom and compassion, traveled from village to village, sharing his teachings with all who would listen. He spoke of the Four Noble Truths, the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path to the end of suffering. In a quaint village, the Buddha encountered a young woman named Kisa. Kisa was grief-stricken, for she had lost her only child. Overwhelmed by sorrow, she wandered the streets, seeking solace. The villagers directed her to the Buddha, believing that his words could offer comfort. When Kisa approached the Buddha, tears streamed down her face. She shared the immense pain in her heart and pleaded for a way to alleviate her suffering. The Buddha, with deep compassion, listened attentively. He began to share a parable, a story that would offer Kisa profound insights. "Imagine, Kisa," he said, "a woman who has lost a loved one. In her grief, she goes to a wise man and asks for a medicine to bring her child back to life. The wise man agrees to help, but with a condition. She must bring a mustard seed from a house where no one has experienced the pain of loss." Determined to save her child, Kisa embarked on a quest. She visited house after house, asking for a mustard seed. At each doorstep, she encountered people who had faced the harsh reality of loss: a parent, a spouse, a sibling. As Kisa heard their stories, she began to understand the universality of suffering. After visiting countless houses, Kisa realized that no one was exempt from the pain of loss. She returned to the Buddha with a newfound wisdom, and a sense of peace settled within her heart. The Buddha gently spoke, "Just as you have realized the common thread of suffering that binds us all, so too must you understand the impermanence of life. All things are subject to change, and by accepting this truth, you can find liberation from suffering." Kisa, profoundly moved by the Buddha's teachings, chose to follow the path of mindfulness and compassion. She became a devoted disciple, spreading the message of peace and understanding to those she encountered. Her transformation from grief-stricken to enlightened mirrored the transformative power of the Buddha's teachings. As the Buddha continued his journey, he encountered a group of merchants in a bustling market. One of the merchants, named Ananda, approached the Buddha and expressed his eagerness to attain enlightenment. Ananda sought a direct and practical path that would lead him to a state of peace and liberation. The Buddha, recognizing Ananda's sincerity, shared a story to illustrate the importance of mindfulness in daily life. "Imagine, Ananda," the Buddha began, A group of musicians playing various instruments. To create harmonious music, each musician must tune their instrument to the same pitch. If one instrument is out of tune, the entire melody is disrupted. Ananda nodded, understanding the analogy. The Buddha continued, "In the same way, the path to enlightenment requires the harmonization of body, speech, and mind. Mindfulness is the key to tuning these aspects of ourselves. By being fully present in each moment, we can cultivate a sense of inner harmony and peace." Inspired by the Buddha's words, Ananda dedicated himself to the practice of mindfulness. He learned to bring awareness to his thoughts, words, and actions, cultivating a state of tranquility within. As he progressed on his journey, Ananda not only found inner peace, but also became a beacon of inspiration for others seeking the path of enlightenment. The Buddha's teachings continued to spread far and wide, touching the lives of people from all walks of life. In a bustling city, he encountered a wealthy merchant named Dana. Dana was known for his generosity, but he struggled with attachment to his wealth. He feared losing his material possessions and the comfort they provided. The Buddha, sensing Dana's inner turmoil, shared a story to illuminate the nature of impermanence and the futility of clinging to material wealth. "Imagine, Dana," the Buddha began, "a man who gathers a heap of leaves in a forest. He holds tightly to this heap, fearing that if he lets go, he will be left with nothing. However, the wind blows, scattering the leaves in all directions. The man is left empty-handed, realizing the impermanence of his grasp." Dana listened attentively, and the Buddha continued, "Just like the man in the story, the nature of life is transient. All things are subject to change, and clinging to possessions brings only temporary satisfaction. True wealth lies in the richness of the heart and the ability to cultivate inner virtues." Reflecting on the Buddha's words, Dana underwent a profound transformation. He began to practice generosity not out of attachment, but from a genuine desire to alleviate the suffering of others. As he let go of his fear of loss, Dana found a deeper sense of contentment and fulfillment. The Buddha's journey continued, and he arrived at a quiet village where he encountered a group of children playing by a lotus pond. Among them was a curious and bright-eyed girl named Mira. Intrigued by the serenity radiating from the Buddha, Mira approached him with innocence and curiosity. The Buddha, recognizing the purity in Mira's heart, shared a simple yet profound story to impart the essence of compassion and interconnectedness. "Imagine, Mira," the Buddha began, "a beautiful lotus pond. Each lotus flower in the pond is unique, with its vibrant petals and delicate fragrance. These lotus flowers, though separate, share the same source, the nourishing water and fertile soil of the pond." Mira's eyes sparkled with interest as she visualized the scene. The Buddha continued, "In the same way, all living beings are like the lotus flowers in the pond of life. We may appear distinct, but we are interconnected by the essence of existence. Just as the lotus flowers draw sustenance from the pond, we too are interconnected by the threads of compassion and understanding." The simplicity of the story resonated deeply with Mira. She began to view the world with a newfound sense of empathy and kindness. Inspired by the Buddha's teachings, Mira grew into a compassionate young woman, dedicated to fostering harmony and understanding in her community. As the Buddha continued his journey, he encountered a group of villagers engaged in a heated dispute over a piece of fertile land. The tension among the villagers was palpable, and they sought the Buddha's guidance to resolve their conflicts. The Buddha, perceiving the underlying causes of their strife, shared a story that illustrated the destructive nature of anger and the transformative power of forgiveness. "Imagine," the Buddha began, "a man who was struck by a poison arrow. Instead of seeking immediate medical attention, he insisted on knowing the origin of the arrow, the identity of the archer, and the type of wood used to make the arrow. In his quest for these details, the poison spread, and he succumbed to its effects." The villagers listened attentively as the Buddha continued, "Similarly, harboring anger and resentment is like holding on to a poison arrow. It only exacerbates suffering and prevents the healing process. By letting go of anger and embracing forgiveness, we create space for compassion to flourish." In the wake of the Buddha's words, the villagers recognized the folly of their quarrels. They chose to release their grievances and work together to cultivate the fertile land. The once divided community transformed into a harmonious village, guided by the principles of understanding and forgiveness. As the Buddha's teachings continued to resonate across the land, he encountered a group of travelers seeking refuge from a fierce storm. Among them was a weary old man named Upasaka, burdened by the weight of regrets and unfulfilled aspirations. The Buddha, sensing Upasaka's inner turmoil, shared a parable that illuminated the importance of living a meaningful and purposeful life. Imagine, the Buddha began, a man who, while walking through a dense forest, is struck by a poisonous snake. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he seeks the guidance of a wise healer. The healer provides him with a remedy, but the man, consumed by regret and self-blame, neglects to take the antidote and succumbs to the venom. Upasaka listened intently as the Buddha continued. Life is precious and fleeting, much like the encounter with the snake. Regrets and unfulfilled aspirations are like the venom that can cloud our perception. By embracing the present moment and living with purpose, we can experience the true richness of life. Inspired by the Buddha's words, Upasaka embarked on a journey of self-discovery and redemption. He dedicated the remaining years of his life to acts of kindness and service, finding solace in the transformative power of the present moment. As the Buddha continued to travel, his teachings spread far and wide, touching the lives of people from all walks of life. The stories he shared, rooted in simplicity and wisdom, became timeless lessons that transcended cultural and temporal boundaries. And so, the tale of Siddhartha's journey from a questioning young man to the enlightened Buddha, and the stories he shared along the way, became a source of inspiration for generations to come. The villages, cities, and individuals touched by his teachings found solace, understanding, and a path to liberation. In the end, the Buddha's journey wasn't just a historical narrative, but a timeless odyssey that invited individuals to explore the depths of their own hearts and minds. The simplicity of his teachings, woven into the fabric of relatable stories, resonated with people across the ages, guiding them on a path of compassion, mindfulness, and enlightenment. And so, the echoes of the Buddha's wisdom continued to reverberate, inviting each person to embark on their own journey toward inner peace and liberation.